After 23 years, we finally got Gladiator 2. This movie is about 2.5 hours long, and you can really feel the time mostly at the beginning. This movie could have been a little bit shorter. The start of the movie is a bit slow. It's not boring, but I found myself uninterested until it gets interesting. The rest of the movie is good, but it's not the movie of the year. But it's a solid movie. I think some parts happened too quickly, or they did something too early, or it was just unnecessary. That doesn't ruin the movie or anything, it's just an observation. I like the twin emperors. Their dynamic was entertaining and gave us something new. Now, the characters Paul Mescal and Pedro Pascal as Lucius and Marcus was fine. These were well written 3D characters. I think the problem is Paul Mescal is no Russell Crowe. And I don't think he has the same screen presence, and neither does Pedro Pascal. But they still do a good job what they were given. All the actors were great, but it felt like the actors weren't given a lot to work with. The characters would show emotion, but it felt like as soon as we would start to understand them more, we would pull away because we have to do this thing over here. To set this thing up because this character wants, you get the idea. We're pulling away from the situation at hand to deal with something else. There are a lot of new characters in this movie that we have to learn about. I don't think we have the time to learn about everyone. And I think that led to me not fully understanding who these characters are. The first movie had a lot of characters as well, but I felt it was better balanced. This movie would do some things that reminded me of the first movie, but it didn't have the same impact because it was so packed full of, I don't know, it's not bad, but it just doesn't hit the same. Now, who stole the show was Denzel Washington. Now, I've never seen him act before, but I was blown away. If you like Denzel, I would see it just for him. Honestly, they could have made this his movie. He's not the typical villain you see, he's a calculated genius. 2 steps ahead, analyzing every situation and knowing what makes people tick. He was the game master and everyone else was his pawns on the board. If you like characters like this, you want to see this movie, and you might even want to see him win. He fits perfectly into this movie. Yes, he fits perfectly, and if you take him out of the movie, it wouldn't be the same. But having him and the Emperors and Pedro Pascal, it's a lot. This movie does its best, but okay, if you haven't seen the movie, I'm about to get into some spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, pause this video, go watch it, then come back to the pond and you'll understand everything I'm about to talk about. Let's talk about the reveal. So Marcus, Pedro's character, shoots Lucius' wife at the beginning. Then Lucius gets captured and sent to the Colosseum, proves himself to the one in charge, and then makes his way to the Colosseum in Rome. I've seen this story before. Everything's going well. He proves himself to the Colosseum. Then, during one of the games, he sees Marcus sitting and watching the games with the emperors. He grabs a crossbow, aims at Pedro's character, and misses. I think this is when Marcus realizes who that is. And that's the problem. I think. It shouldn't be an I think. It should be definite. It should feel more personal. In the first movie, when Russell Crowe took off his helmet, the Emperor reacted. His sister reacted. It was up close and personal, face to face. In this movie, Marcus just looked at him from the stands and then he leaves the stadium. Like I said, I think he knows who that is, but I don't know. It didn't feel personal. Another thing is that the scene reminded me of this. In this clip, everyone on the stage is caught off guard, angry almost. In Gladiator 2, there was no uproar from anyone. Someone shot the emperors. You would think someone would say something to Lucius about it. But I guess it kind of makes sense considering this is a game where you fight with weapons, but I wish they would have done more with this. The second thing is killing Marcus. They killed him way too early. I think they should have kept him around for longer, or at least have him play a bigger role earlier on. I felt like I met him and he's getting put against the main character, then is gone after their first fight. I wanted to learn more about him. This is why I think the movie was overloaded. There wasn't enough time to spend with him. In Gladiator 1, we really only had to focus on Russell Crowe, the Emperor, and his sister. I would be fine if they wanted to kill Marcus, but not yet. I almost felt like they had to kill him to make room for Macronius. Denzel's character. His character was introduced in the beginning, and killing Pedro's character, Marcus, was part of Denzel's plan, but it felt like they killed him because they realized the story was packed. Does that make sense? I gave this movie a 7 out of 10 when I walked out of the theater, but after some thought, that score dropped a bit. I give it a 5.5 out of 10.